Before we begin this morning prayer, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like this video. There are mornings when the sunlight feels too soft for the way I see myself, when the promise of a new day knocks gently at my window, but something in me hesitates to answer. I lie still, staring at the ceiling, not because I'm physically tired, but because I'm not sure I deserve to meet this day with open hands. And it's not that anything horrible happened, not that the sky has fallen or the world has turned upside down, but somewhere in the quiet of my soul, shame has made its home again. It reminds me of words I said in a moment of weakness, of the times I held back when I should have spoken up, of the ways I failed silently, when no one else saw but I can't forget. And so I start the day, already beneath it. Not just the weight of tasks, but the weight of feeling like I haven't earned a fresh start. And that's where I am right now, somewhere between wanting to begin and feeling like I don't have the right to, between knowing there's beauty ahead and believing I've disqualified myself from it, between the whisper that says, step into grace, and the other one that says, not you, not yet. And that's why I'm praying, not because I'm ready, not because I've figured out how to feel worthy, but because I need to be reminded that worthiness isn't something I have to perform, that maybe, just maybe, being honest about this ache is the first step back into the light. So God, I'm coming to you, not with confidence, but with bare hands and lowered eyes. I'm not asking for more than I need. I'm not demanding that today feel easy or bright. I just want to know if there's room for someone like me at the table of new beginnings. If there's space in this morning for someone who's still carrying regret, someone who hasn't yet forgiven themselves, someone who sometimes finds it easier to extend grace to the world than to their own reflection. Because that's what I need most right now. Not a lesson, not a lecture, but a quiet place to be seen and not dismissed. I don't know how to let go of the weight all at once. I don't know how to flip a switch and believe I'm fully forgiven. But I do know what it feels like when you draw close, and I think I'm longing for that more than anything. Not answers, not explanations, just closeness. Just the warmth that tells me I'm not beyond reach, that you're not keeping your distance until I clean myself up, that I don't have to crawl my way back to worthiness. I just have to stop running from love. There's a voice in my mind that tells me I've already missed too much, that I've wasted too many chances, that joy is something for those who've managed to stay ahead of their shame. And yet another voice, quieter, steadier, kinder, keeps reminding me that mercy isn't earned, that there's a deeper truth beneath the guilt, that what I've done isn't the whole story, that who I am is not reduced to my worst decisions. And I want to believe that voice. I want to believe that the same grace I point others to is still available to me. I want to believe that there is healing even here in the morning after I doubted myself again in the moment before I've done anything to deserve it. So help me, God. Help me walk gently into this day. Help me stop disqualifying myself from joy. Help me recognize that I don't have to pay a price to smile, that I don't have to prove I'm sorry by punishing myself into silence, that I don't have to be flawless to be at peace. Let this morning be a space where I can rest, even for a moment, from the noise in my own head. Let me put down the arguments I've rehearsed, the self-judgment I've polished, the long list of reasons why I think I've fallen short. Let me just be. Let me sit in this moment and hear something different. Not the accusations I've grown used to, but the invitation to soften, to receive what I didn't think was mine to hold, to taste a bit of joy, even if it surprises me, even if it catches me off guard, even if my first instinct is to push it away because I think I haven't earned it. And if the voice of shame tries to speak louder today, help me pause before I agree with it. Help me remember that healing isn't about pretending the past didn't happen, but choosing not to let it own the present. Help me believe that I can live a good day without being perfect, that I can laugh even when part of me still hurts, that I can step forward even if I don't feel ready. That this morning isn't asking me to have it all figured out. It's just offering me a chance to begin. I want to begin with softness, not strategy. With breath, not burden. With awareness, not avoidance. I want to begin knowing that worthiness doesn't always feel like a roar. Sometimes it's just the quiet decision to stay open, to show up, to say, I may not feel like I deserve it, but I'm here anyway. And maybe that's what courage looks like today. Not being sure, but being willing to believe in something kinder, willing to trust that you are not holding my past against me, willing to see that I am not broken beyond joy, willing to take one step toward light, even if the shame still whispers in the corners. So thank you for this morning, for this space to be honest, for the slow, steady way you keep meeting me right where I am, for not rushing me into peace, but gently inviting me there, for holding space for the unworthy parts and loving me into healing, for reminding me that I don't have to clean myself up before I come. I can come as I am, again and again, and still be welcomed. I wonder how many mornings I've sat on the edge of the bed, quietly negotiating with myself about whether I'm allowed to feel okay, whether I've done enough, apologized enough, changed enough, healed enough to be worthy of letting the sunlight in, whether the mistakes that cling to my memory should still be held against me or finally laid down. And even as I try to talk myself into kindness, there's still that ache in my chest, that silent tug that says, not yet, not until you make up for it, not until you prove you're better. And while I know that's not truth, it's still loud, it still echoes. And so even when the world is quiet, I wake up feeling disqualified from joy. That this morning, I want something different. Not because I've fixed everything, but because I'm exhausted from carrying it all. I want to let grace interrupt the cycle. I want to let your voice speak more clearly than my shame. I want to let the morning be what it is, new. Not because I deserve it, but because you give it anyway. That I'm realizing that maybe worthiness isn't about deserving. Maybe it's about receiving what you're already offering. Not because I'm perfect, but because you are present. Not because I've earned peace, but because you never stopped offering it. So as I begin today, I want to lay down every silent agreement I've made with guilt, every unspoken belief that says I have to stay small to be safe, every inner script that tells me I should settle for less because of what I've done. I want to make space for a new narrative, not one that denies the past, but one that doesn't chain me to it. I want to believe that redemption is real, that restoration isn't just for others, that goodness can find me even when I'm hiding. I want to believe that I can be both healing and hopeful at the same time, that I can carry grief and still let laughter in, that I can feel unworthy and still receive love anyway. Because the truth is, I miss the feeling of joy. Not the kind that needs fireworks or approval or even clarity, just the kind that sits gently on the chest, that softens the breath, that reminds me I'm alive. I miss the ease that comes from not second-guessing every moment. I miss trusting that I can walk through a day without constantly defending my right to feel peace. I miss believing that maybe I'm not too much, or too broken, or too behind to something beautiful. And I'm ready to move toward that again, even if I can't run, even if I have to crawl. So, God, meet me here, in this fragile beginning, in this unsure step, in the part of me that wants to hope but doesn't know how to. Remind me that you are not measuring my soul by how quickly I recover, that you are not grading my worth based on how little I struggle, that you see the complexity in me, not just the guilt, but the longing beneath it, not just the flaws, but the love that still flickers inside me. You see the tenderness I've buried under layers of regret. You see the strength I've forgotten how to name. You see the potential for healing even in the pieces I think are too far gone. And you don't flinch. You don't hesitate. Let that be my anchor today, that you stay, that even when I want to hide, you remain close. Even when I try to push love away, you keep offering it back. Even when I sabotage the goodness in front of me, you don't leave. You wait. And you whisper not of punishment, but of peace. You remind me that I'm not the exception to grace, that I'm not outside the reach of renewal, that I'm not forgotten or overlooked or disqualified. I'm just hurting. I'm just human. And you came for humans, for wounds, for doubt, for hearts that aren't sure how to begin again. So let this be the beginning. Let this be the breath where I stop punishing myself. Let this be the hour where I choose compassion over critique. Let this be the space where I welcome what I don't yet feel I deserve, because I'm starting to understand that love was never about worthiness. It's about willingness. Willingness to receive. Willingness to stay open. Willingness to stop fighting against what's already mine. Willingness to live, not in the shadow of shame, but in the light of love that sees me fully and still says, come home. And if the doubts come back later, and they will, help me return to this moment. Help me pause before I spiral. Help me breathe before I retreat. Help me speak kindly to myself before the inner critic takes over. Help me remember that no amount of guilt has ever led me to peace. That no amount of self-hate has ever brought me closer to healing. That what I need isn't more punishment, it's presence. Yours, mine. The presence that holds space for who I've been without letting it define who I am becoming. Thank you for not demanding perfection before offering peace. Thank you for being the kind of God who sits with the uncertain, who comforts the undeserving, who gently dismantles the idea that love must be earned. Thank you for making joy available even when I don't feel ready, for making this morning matter even when I'm not sure I do, for reminding me again and again that mercy isn't a reward. It's the beginning of a different kind of life, and I want that life, slowly, quietly, honestly, one morning at a time. It's hard to describe how heavy it feels to carry a heart that doesn't believe it deserves light, to walk into a new day with a sky that's clear and beautiful, yet feel like the clouds are still inside me, not the kind that bring peace or rain, but the kind that press on my chest like I've done something wrong just by waking up. It's not always connected to one specific failure. It's more like a collection of small doubts that pile up every time I didn't speak when I should have. Every moment I pulled away when love tried to reach me. Every time I couldn't forgive myself for simply being human. And after a while it feels like those moments define me more than any good I've done. It feels like they speak louder than the grace I try so hard to believe in. I know the truth in my head. I know I'm not alone. I know that mercy is real, that love is wider than my mistakes, that you don't weigh me on a scale of performance. But some mornings, it still feels like there's an invisible gate between me and joy, like I need a password I've forgotten, like I need a permission slip I can't seem to write for myself. And so I move slowly, not because I'm lazy, but because I'm unsure of how to accept what I don't think I've earned, unsure of how to believe I'm invited into peace when I still remember the moments I pushed it away. But I want to stop living this way. I don't want to spend another day apologizing to the air around me. I don't want to shrink from kindness. I don't want to treat love like a favor I have to return. I want to open my hands. I want to stand in the light, even if I still flinch a little. I want to trust that maybe the invitation to joy wasn't sent to the best version of me. It was sent to the real me, the one who doubts, who hides, who hurts, who still hopes. The one who, despite everything, hasn't given up completely on being made new. I want to believe that you still see me that way, not as a sum of my struggles, but as someone still becoming, someone still held, someone still welcome. So God, help me accept that welcome. Help me stop arguing with love. Help me receive the gentleness I so freely give to others. Help me stop editing the story to make myself smaller. Help me let joy be what it is, a gift, not a reward. Help me rest in the truth that you aren't waiting for a better version of me to show up. You're here. You've been here the whole time. You're not pacing in the distance, hoping I'll catch up. You're sitting beside me in the pause, offering peace without precondition. Let today be a doorway, not a test, not a trap, not another chance to prove myself, but a quiet, wide open door into something softer, into a way of living that doesn't center around guilt, into a way of seeing myself that's shaped by truth, not trauma. Let me step into this day like someone who is allowed to be here. Let me sip my coffee slowly without wondering if I've earned it. Let me enjoy the sun on my skin without trying to justify it. Let me breathe deeply, not to calm myself after another round of shame, but because this body is still mine and still holy. Let me believe that goodness can meet me in small things, in the rhythm of ordinary life, and that I don't have to feel deserving to be embraced by it. And when the voice comes back, that old, familiar voice that says, I'm still not enough, that says, I haven't done enough to feel peace, help me pause before I listen. Help me question the source. Help me remember that self-criticism masquerading as accountability isn't wisdom. That shame pretending to be humility isn't truth. That there is no holiness in self-hatred, no transformation in tearing myself down. Help me stop calling it conviction when it's really just the echo of old wounds. Help me name the lie, not so I can fight it, but so I can lay it down, so I can walk past it into something better. Let me be brave enough to enjoy today. Let me be strong enough to soften. Let me be honest enough to admit that part of me is still afraid, but part of me is finally ready to believe that I am not the exception to healing, that I am not the only one grace keeps circling back for, that I am not too far gone for light to find me again, that I don't have to carry the label of unworthy into every conversation, every relationship, every prayer, that there is space for me to live freely, even while I'm still learning to forgive myself. So thank you for this breath. Thank you for this chance. Thank you for not giving up on me when I gave up on myself. Thank you for reminding me, in 100 small ways, that I am still someone worth loving, that I can still laugh without guilt, that I can still rest without apology, that I can still grow without shame being the fuel, that I am more than what I regret, that I am more than what I've lost, that I am more than what I feel. Thank you for staying, for being the kind of presence that doesn't demand perfection before drawing near, for holding my hand even when I'm too weighed down to lift it, for whispering truth when lies are screaming, for believing in beauty even when I can't see it in myself. Thank you for writing a story that doesn't stop at my worst moments. Thank you for making this morning matter even when I wasn't sure I did. Thank you for grace that doesn't wait for me to feel worthy. Grace that steps in precisely because I don't. If I'm honest, I think I've spent more time than I care to admit quietly avoiding joy. Not because I didn't want it, but because I didn't know how to receive it without bracing for its end. Because somewhere along the way, I learned that good things come with a cost, that blessings are borrowed, that anything beautiful might disappear the moment I start to feel safe. And so, instead of opening to joy, I flinched. I shrunk. I made myself small in the presence of light because I believed light would expose everything I wasn't. I treated love like a visitor, not a home, and peace like a fleeting silence, not a place I could live. But I'm tired of that story. I'm tired of expecting punishment instead of peace. I'm tired of holding my breath every time something good happens, afraid I'll ruin it just by being present. I want to believe that good things can stay, that they can be real, even if I feel undeserving, that maybe you've been trying to hand me joy this whole time, not as a test, but as a reminder that I'm still allowed to feel alive. So I'm choosing to meet this morning differently, not because I've earned that right, but because I'm letting go of the belief that I have to. I'm choosing to believe that you are not interested in keeping score, that you are not waiting for me to suffer long enough before I'm allowed to smile again, that you are not keeping me at arm's length until I become someone holier, cleaner, quieter. I'm choosing to believe that maybe worthiness isn't the doorway to joy. Maybe joy is the doorway back to worthiness. That when I let myself experience what is good and kind and gentle, something inside me begins to remember who I am, beyond shame, beyond failure, beyond all the ways I've convinced myself that I must stay small to be. Let this day be one of restoration, not the kind that erases my past, but the kind that rewrites how I carry it. Let it be a day where I let softness in without suspicion, where I accept comfort without strings attached, where I stop waiting for the other shoe to drop and instead decide to walk barefoot across the floor of my own heart. Let me meet myself where I am, not where I think I should be, not the version of me who has it all together, just this version, this honest, healing, human version who is learning to believe in love again, in peace again, in second chances that don't expire. Help me notice what's still good. Help me feel what I usually numb. Help me stop rushing through beauty just because I'm uncomfortable receiving it. Help me pause when someone speaks kindly to me and let it in. Help me look out the window and actually see the light instead of just measuring how many hours I have left in the day. Help me hear laughter and not wonder if I'm allowed to join in. Help me eat without guilt, rest without apology, love without holding back. Let this be the day where I say yes to joy, not because I feel worthy, but because I'm learning to trust that you think I am. And if I forget, tomorrow, if I wake up again with the old ache, with the familiar voice of shame whispering through the morning, remind me of this. Remind me of how it felt to breathe deeply without bargaining. Remind me of how you met me here with no demands, no conditions. Remind me that it's not a one-time revelation, but a practice, a daily return, a moment-by-moment remembering that love is still waiting, still available, still mine. Remind me that grace doesn't run out just because I've needed it more than once. That joy doesn't become invalid just because I hesitate to accept it. That healing doesn't disqualify me from happiness. It prepares me for it. So, thank you for staying through the process. Thank you for not needing me to feel worthy in order to be worthy. Thank you for sitting in the quiet with me again and again until the noise fades and I can hear truth again. Thank you for not rushing me, for not rolling your eyes at my uncertainty, for not leaving when I second-guess the goodness you keep offering. Thank you for making joy patient, for letting peace be soft, for showing me, one morning at a time, that I don't have to be flawless to be loved, that I don't have to be confident to be chosen, that I don't have to have it all together to step into a day that is still good. Let today be a beginning. Let it be gentle. Let it be full of moments that I allow myself to receive. Let it be a place where I stop withholding kindness from myself. Let it be sacred, not because I've planned it perfectly, but because I chose to live it fully. Let this be the kind of day that plants something quiet and strong inside me, a seed of trust that grows over time into a new story, one where I stop calling myself unworthy and start calling myself beloved.